This is Appalling News. I'm Paul Chatto. Sometimes when you think the left cannot debase themselves any further, along comes gender alchemist Judith Butler, who is apparently a distinguished professor in the Department of Comparative Literature and the program of Critical Theory at the University of California, Berkeley, who is also one of the architects of the queer theory insanity we are dealing with today. She once claimed there are forms of incest that is not traumatic. She is chums with Gayle Rubin, who compared pedophilia to spicy food. And if you thought the idea of Ms. Butler actually teaching your child would be a form of abuse, get a wind of this.
Similarly, I think, understanding Hamas, Hezbollah as social movements that are progressive, that are on the left.
Hamas and Hezbollah are social movements that are progressive? And all this time we thought it was just about planting an inner-city vegetable garden. This certainly expands on HR Department's diversity options. Adding terrorists to DEI checklists increases the available talent pool, though firing one of them could be problematic.
That are part of a global left is extremely important.
They are part of a global left. You don't have to convince us, but we think you have that wrong. Hamas and Hezbollah are not left at all, but they are happy to have you, useful idiots, on board.
That does not stop us from being critical of certain dimensions of both movements. It doesn't stop those of us who are interested in nonviolent politics from raising the question of whether there are other options besides violence.
You believe that you'd be able to convince these two Iranian proxies to pursue nonviolent options, like changing one's college major from death to Zionists to interpretive dancing with a minor in search engine optimization?
So again, a critical, important engagement. I mean, I certainly think it should be entered into the conversation.
We are looking forward to you and your other gender-confused posse going over to Hezbollah HQ and starting that conversation. This is a news item updated in 2023 that goes back a decade earlier, but it's still relevant, and it's just more proof of how the left are willing to put ideology over the safety of women, the women we thought feminism was supposedly fighting for since the 60s. Of course, this comes from Canada's loony left coast, British Columbia. This is a horrific story. Not the usual thing we present, but we felt it was important to convey the utter depravity of progressive ideology. A man named Adam Lubucan sexually assaulted a 3-month-old and drowned a toddler. He later identified as a woman, was given breast implants for free by the province, and was transferred into the Fraser Valley Penitentiary for women. Inmates have reported Lubucan, who now calls himself Tara, frequently menaces the mothers by making suggestive comments and staring at their children, and has even shown up to prison events where children were present. Lubucan's crime was considered so violent and his ensuing behavior while incarcerated so unpredictable, he was handed a rare prison sentence with no determinate length. It seems feminists have decided that women today should have fewer rights than a violent man in a skirt with a boob job. My mother, bless her soul, hated working for women. She thought they were crazy. To wrap up on a less serious note, but no less appalling, the WNBA, the sports league no one heard of until this year when Caitlin Clark burst into the league, smashing records, filling the stands, and making the game fun to watch. This story is about how the WNBA slowly snuck in a change to the name of the WNBA Sixth Woman of the Year award. Before we get to the change, what does it mean? Well, it started with the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year, which highlighted the most impactful bench player, as there can only be 5 players on the court at any one time. 2 years ago, the WNBA quietly changed it from Sixth Woman to Sixth Player of the Year. Why should we care? It's a meaningless award in an up to this year meaningless league. What is important is that you will notice that during this gender war, only women are made to take the full brunt of it. Men don't give a shit who comes into their washrooms. If a 5'2" ex-female hyped up on testosterone and sporting a squirrely beard wants to try out for the football team, more power to them. Removing woman from the Sixth Player of the Year award is just another tiny cut of thousands to disempower womanhood. We believe a more accurate name for the award should be WNBA's Sixth Tattooed Lesbian Ghetto Bitch Award. This is Appalling News, and that's the way it is.